speaking of fortitude and hanging in there, JJ McCarthy.
Your son.
Listen, everybody around these parts know I'm a University of Michigan guy through and through. So obviously I'm rooting for the guy. And obviously I was beyond crestfallen for this guy, the champion quarterback of Team 144 of the University of Michigan, national champions, last undefeated national champion, and maybe the last ever such thing now that we've got multiple games in a playoff.
Are you mentioning that because last year's champ didn't go?
Oh, that's true. Oh, interesting. Thank you. Yeah, they didn't.
Don't
feed the animals.
The beast.
No.
Like, come on, man.
No, but in all seriousness, you guys have met JJ McCarthy. He was on our program.
He was very charming.
You
really enjoyed him.
You met him maybe for the first time for you the day before the draft, or was it the day of the draft in Detroit? I forget. We did our show from there, and he joined us, and he
was great.
He sent me the video that that he had in his back pocket that we showed on our air. His dad, chatting with his mom as she's about to give birth to him, and you could hear that dad say, "We're going to call him JJ, and he's going to be our little quarterback." Mm-hmm. I mean, come on, right?
I mean, he doesn't say that.
And then he goes and he gets drafted by the Minnesota Vikings, and then hurts his knee. And he's out for his entire first year. And he sits there and watches Sam Darnold win 14 games. And he's got to sit there and wonder, do I have a spot here? Now, we're saying that from the outside. I don't know what Kevin O'Connell was saying to him on the inside. We found out from our buddy Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated that O'Connell was having weekly meetings with J.J. McCarthy while he was convalescing and while he was coaching up Sam Darnold to that position, and how well he was playing there, while Kevin O'Connell becomes coach of the year for the 14-win Vikings. And sure enough, Sam goes to Seattle. The Vikings put their marker on J.J. McCarthy, and after all the conversation throughout the spring and summer, is the kid ready? He gets barely a cup of coffee in preseason, and I'm sitting there, I'm saying, hey, this kid's ready. I'm not there. I just saw what he did in Michigan. And one of the things he also was telling us all the time was, remember he had his smiley face written on his hand? Mm-hmm. And I asked him what that was about. And he said that when he was in high school in Illinois, in the Chicagoland area, and he said that he was always getting down on himself. And he was also putting himself in such a negative headspace that he would he'd draw that smiley face on his hand. Just remember, have fun, which is a mindfulness you don't see in somebody that young. Yeah. And he also talks about his meditations that he goes through. So he has mindfulness. He would sit there cross-legged at the base of a goalpost in Michigan, getting ready for games. So now the kid's ready. The question is, how's he going to look? And he's playing in his home city, in Chicago, where they're unveiling Caleb Williams with Ben Johnson, the new HC of the Chicago Bears, for the first time. And he goes 3 and out. And it doesn't look pretty. And then Caleb Williams shows up in the first 15 scripted for Ben Johnson. Caleb goes 5 for 5, marches down the field, and caps it off by running it in. And then J.J. McCarthy comes out and has 6 3-and-outs in his first 9 drives. To say he looked overwhelmed is an understatement. The Bears were rushing 4 and getting home. So up front, things aren't looking too great. He threw one of the only good passes he threw in the first half was a red zone dart to his JJ, Justin Jefferson. And he threw it in such a spot where the defender couldn't get it. Only JJ would have to go down and try and make a tough basket catch off the ground. And it hit Justin Jefferson between the 1 and the 8 and uncharacteristically hit the ground. Adam Thielen dropped one. A lot of uncharacteristic Minnesota Vikings stuff was happening. And the Bears were all over this kid. All over him. And then second half, hey, Bears go 3 and out. McCarthy gets the ball back. He's now on the plus side of the field. Let's go. 3 snaps in, pick 6. And not just any pick six. It was not one of those tip drill pick sixes. It was a terrible, telegraphed, the entire world seeing it coming throw that Nahshon Wright picked it off, pick six, that stared at the Vikings sideline going down the field. It's 17-6. The route is on, and JJ McCarthy's first start of his career is an unmitigated disaster.
Rich, dare I say it was Shawbian?
It was a Shawbian throw, which are words you don't want to say.
No.
You know what you'd rather be compared to? Steve Young. You know what you'd rather be compared to? Aaron Rodgers and Phillip Rivers. And by the end of the night, J.J. McCarthy was. Because this, kids, I'm going to go here. This is a life lesson. Mindfulness, stay calm, believe in yourself. Hopefully you do have people in your corner like Kevin O'Connell who looks you in the face saying, we're good. You're good. It sure did not look going into the fourth quarter of that game last night. 6 3-and-outs and a pick six. Not your night. Bears fans going crazy. Your family's in the stands and everybody in Minnesota is going, really? Pining for Sam Darnold. And wondering, does the kid really have it? Is this really, we really changed course for this?
That Steely Dan album.
And by the end of the day and the evening, J.J. McCarthy became the first quarterback since 1950 at least to come back from a 10 or worse point deficit in the fourth quarter of their NFL debut on the road. The only other quarterback since the middle of the last century to do what McCarthy did at all, and he did it at home. The only other quarterback in their NFL debut to come back from a 10-point deficit in the fourth quarter is named Steve Young, who did it in 1985. As J.J. McCarthy became just the first, in week one, became just the third first-round quarterback to win their first NFL start, not in their rookie season, since Aaron Rodgers and Phillip Rivers did it. And the Vikings come up with their first victory, trailing by 10 or more points in the fourth quarter since Week 15, 2022 against Indianapolis. Remember that one? It was on NFL Network. Indianapolis led by 33 points, 33-0. Remember that one? That massive Kirk Cousins-led comeback? That's the last time they did it. Trailing in the fourth quarter. J.J. McCarthy did it with 2 passing touchdowns and then 1 rushing touchdown that put him over the top for good. The first player to come up with 2 or more passing touchdowns or one or more rushing touchdowns in their NFL debut, Cam Newton. Remember that one in Arizona?
I do. 400 yards.
These are things that nobody thought was in the ether possible based on what we saw coming out of the box with J.J. McCarthy. And the Minnesota Vikings wind up winning a division game on the road in Chicago, leaving the Bears fans in a fetal position. Our call screener, Adam, when you call this program at 844-204-RICH, please be nice to him. He is a fragile person already talking about starting Tyson Bagent.
He really is.
Oh, betting me money already.
So the Vikings did that to the Bears because they had a resilient, tough-minded champion of a kid. I couldn't be prouder. And I really, as you know, have nothing other than just a collegiate connection with him and having met him and interviewed him a couple times. Could you imagine if you're his coach, his teammates? There's video of the moment that McCarthy was circled by his teammates in the locker room that you should seek out. Nobody thought this was possible based off of what we saw in the first half and then that pick six. Here's J.J. McCarthy after the game.
It's been a long journey, and, 609 days, I think I saw it, was my last, competitive football game, which was the national championship. So it's been a while of, just being in the training room, watching a lot of film, learning the playbook and trying to master that. But at the end of the day, it's such a blessing to be an NFL football player and, play in this league. And, I'm grateful that we get to go out there next week and play the Falcons on Sunday night.
That's right. He goes home, and the next game that you see, the entire country is going to see that one too. And the guy he's seeing is Michael Penix Jr., who he prior to last night was the last quarterback he faced in the national championship game in Washington. And that's a must-win W that the Falcons are going to need. That's going to be a great game on Sunday night, under the lights with the whole country watching. And JJ McCarthy's used to that sort of scrutiny. And he hasn't lost a game since he stood out on the field watching TCU celebrate in Arizona in that bowl loss. You watched them celebrate, and he hasn't lost a game since.
Yeah, I heard the stat. He's 64-3, dating back to high school.
So, listen, what does he do moving forward? I don't know. All I know is that is a baptism by fire, and he was firing. That dart he threw to Justin Jefferson for the touchdown.
Yes. Yeah, he put some stank on that.
And the other throws that he was making after that pick six, how do you find that reserve? You're either born with it or you're not, or you learn about it and you hone it. And then, of course, it helps to have the reigning coach of the year, one of the top quarterback whisperers I've seen since covering the NFL in the last 22-plus years, in Kevin O'Connell. This is what he said to the kid after throwing the pick six, after the 6 3-and-outs.
So I just told him, just like the whole day, one more, just worry, but let's just keep playing the next snap together, and I promise you we'll find a way. That's what I told him. And he's got an unbelievable look in his eye on game day, and he just kept, his belief and his trust in himself. And the phrase that I like to use, you guys have heard it many times, being at your best when your best is required. There's no other time than that than to, have 2 touchdowns and 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown, 21 points in the really darn near close to just the fourth quarter alone. So really big time moment to build off of.
I mean, and McCarthy became the second quarterback in league history to win their NFL debut on the road in prime time. The other is the guy he replaced in Sam Darnold, who also threw a pick six in that Monday nighter in Detroit, if you recall that. I do. And you could sit here and go, well, Sam Darnold didn't work out for the Jets. His head coach also got fired and wasn't a coach of the year who is a quarterback whisperer who was attached at the hip with him. And Todd Bowles actually might stand in the way at some point because how well they're playing. But great first start after you thought there was no chance there could be anything great about that start at all. And the Vikings have got to feel great about themselves. A back pocket division road win out of nowhere in the kid's first start, where he's feeling it, a ton of confidence now going into the Sunday nighter at home. And they could be 2-0. They beat Atlanta. And then a home date with Joe Burrow. So technically another Michigan-Ohio State, since Joe still claims that and the school still claims him, before the whole country once again watches the Vikings again in Ireland against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, before the whole country watches JJ McCarthy again in London against the Browns. Both of those last 2 games on NFL Network, I must say. So, great start, especially when you didn't see it coming. And it leaves the Bears in a fetal position. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.